Hey y'all, happy Monday. I am back today with another momentum moments and this is something that I'm very very passionate about and I actually just talked about this inside of my Makers Momentum Inner Circle coaching group. Um and I thought that I would just turn around and go live and share some of what I shared with them today with y'all. So, if you're feeling stuck in your business right now, um, this one thing that I'm about to tell y'all about and talk to y'all about, it's going to allow you to get past whatever it is that's keeping you stuck. Um, and sometimes when we think about being stuck in our business, we think that that means sales, like we're not getting sales. That doesn't always mean that we're not getting sales. There's times we're stuck in our business when we like need to make a decision or we know that, something needs to change. Like we need to add an item into our inventory or we need, like, for instance, I used to have several different yarn bases and it was really hard to keep up with. So I had to make some decisions like what bases do I want to keep? What bases do I not want to keep? And that can feel like a very, very big thing. And sometimes, like, when we're stuck in indecision, like, you don't realize it, but you are making a decision by being stuck in indecision. You're making a decision not to move forward. So that's what I mean by being stuck. Sometimes it's, we're not getting sales and we need to figure out why. But sometimes we are. It doesn't necessarily mean stuck means that you're not making sales. So I just wanted to clear that up. Um, so, what I'm about to talk to y'all about today, this you can come back to every single time that you're feeling stuck, and it's going to help you every time. Um, y'all, our business sometimes business is hard, okay, but it shouldn't always feel hard and heavy and overwhelming. Um, you can create a business that you absolutely love and that you enjoy. Um, and I'm going to tell you how. Okay. So, first I'm going to start out and I'm going to tell you a little story. So, my friend Cheryl at Hypnotic Yarns, her and I both have a hand-dyed yarn business and a subscription box. And we also share a podcast together. And last week we were batch recording some podcasts for some upcoming episodes. And after our podcast, y'all, I just had this revelation, okay? Um, just go with me here. By society standards and by the norm, Cheryl and I are competitors. Like I said, we're both hand dye yarn and we both have monthly hand dyed yarn subscriptions that we offer. But this is the thing. We chose not to label ourselves as competitors. Um, we chose not to act as expected. Um, we just chose to be different. And I'm so glad that we did because if we looked at each other as competitors, we would be missing out on an amazing friendship. And we wouldn't have the podcast that we have today. Um, and we wouldn't be sharing our business journeys and helping other women in their businesses if we thought of each other as competitors. Um, and here's the thing. If I let myself be intimidated or jealous of Cheryl's success, I would be missing out on really seeing the wonderful person that Cheryl is. Um, and the friendship that we have and the encouragement that she brings to the table and by being inspired by her. Because she encourages me, she inspires me, she challenges me. Um, and she's just an amazing friend. And if I would have let myself be intimidated or jealous, I would be missing all of that. So when we first met and we started chatting, I was really worried about taking advantage of her because she was so much further along in her business than I was. And I think at the time I had only had my monthly subscription for, like, 5 months, and I wanna say she was, like, a year and a half in? Not sure. Um, but this is the thing, she was at a different level in her business than I was, and she was way more successful. Um, and I was so scared that I was, like, gonna cross a line, and I was gonna just out of curiosity or just something I was struggling with, I was gonna ask her a question that would be, like, over the line, or it would be, like, taking advantage. Um, and I really didn't think I had much to bring to the table. Like, as a friend, as a business buddy, I'm like, "What do I have to offer?" I really was, like, selling myself short, in my mind because y'all, imposter syndrome and self-doubt, it can really creep in before you know it, and it can really immobilize you, and that's one of the things that I kinda went through when her and I first started being friends, and I didn't really realize it until now, kind of looking back. So we chatted off and on, and I really liked Cheryl. Like we clicked, we just did. But I was so stuck on I didn't want to bother her. I didn't want to take advantage of her. And what did I have to offer? So I really was letting my circumstances kind of define me, and I was putting these limitations on myself, okay? Um, so we chatted here and there, but it wasn't like what we have today. But when I found out that Cheryl had like a huge win in her business, because we're in a subscription box coaching group together, and I saw her post in there, I did not hesitate to pick up my phone and send her a Voxer message and to just celebrate her and just be so proud for her and happy for her and just celebrating. Um, I chose in that moment to celebrate her and her success. I didn't measure myself up against her success. Like, I didn't, "Oh, man, I wish that oh, why couldn't that happen to me? Oh, must be nice." Or, whatever negative way that I could have taken that. I didn't. I wanted to celebrate her and let her know that I am cheering her on. I am so proud and so happy for her and just all of the things, okay? So after that, we really kind of started talking more and more. And it's so nice having a business buddy because it's somebody that gets it, that's just going through it or they've been through it and they understand the challenges. They understand the mindsets, the perspectives, just the all the things. Um, and through those conversations, I started to realize that I did bring a lot to the table. I brought a lot to our friendship and our conversations. And just because we were at different stages in our business didn't mean that I brought any less or I was any less than or she was any more. Um, and fast forward to I don't even remember. It's been a while. I think we started our podcast in November of last year. Now we have a podcast together. So these two competitors now have a podcast together. Um, and I started to really learn and really see how powerful we are together. Um, we both bring our different experiences, our different personalities, our different strengths, to the conversations that we have. And we've decided to share a lot of these conversations with other women that are trying to grow their businesses. Um, and because we found that there were so many topics that we just didn't feel were talked about. And we wanted women to kinda see, like, kind of all aspects of the business, that it's not all, fun and games. It's not easy. And sometimes it can be portrayed as this is just like this super easy thing. Um, but this is the thing, y'all. We decided to bring our own uniqueness to the friendship, to the conversations, to the podcast. And we made the decision not to measure and not to compare. Um, and every single time we podcast together, I learned something from Cheryl. Now, I could easily let my pride get in the way. Um, and if I did, I'd be missing out on actually hearing what she says and learning from it. Um, because if I let my pride get in the way, I would be so focused on when is it my turn to talk and like one upping her or trying to sound smarter than her. But instead, I really listen and really hear what she has to say and keep an open mind to learning from her. Um, and then also on the other side of that is if I were to let my fear get in the way, um, I would be limiting what I could bring to the conversations. Like, I would, feel like I was in her shadow or feel second guess myself before I say something or, um, even just not talk back in the conversations. Um, and I would be robbing other people of the uniqueness that I bring, the experiences that I bring to the conversation. Um, but because we made the decision to not let our natural instincts, our natural reactions, the fear, jealousy, comparison to creep into our friendship, um, we have not only like helped ourselves and bettered ourselves, but others in the process. Like it's just we lift each other up, y'all. We inspire each other, we encourage each other, um, and help each other out when we're just stuck or we're in a bind or we're just having a bad day. It's just that person that just gets it. Um, but y'all, it's a decision that you get to make. And you can choose to push past the fears and the negative feelings. You can push past that and you can choose not to operate in that. Um, and do you know why we can do this? Because we chose to focus on who we are. And knowing who you are is so important. It's more important than knowing where you're going. Knowing who you are is what's going to help you get unstuck every single time in your business. Um, it reveals to you what you could be. You start seeing your potential. When you know who you are, you start seeing the potential. You start seeing the possibilities. And you don't focus on um the obstacles. You get to see your uniqueness and what you have to give. So many times, y'all, we compare ourselves to other people's success, the size of their social media following, the size of their businesses, um, what they're doing versus what it looks like we're doing, what their life looks like compared to ours. And, we wish we could do what they do, or we had what they had, or we have what they or yeah, whatever I'm trying to say. You get what I'm trying to say. Um, but when we try to measure or compare ourselves to other people, we're going to fall short every single time because we are uniquely us. We can't be somebody else. We are not the same and we are not equal to others. By embracing your uniqueness, you're going to open your eyes and your heart to the fact that you are not equal or the same as anyone else. Because being equal means that you can be measured. Okay? Being the same means that you're replaceable or that you're interchangeable. And we're not that. We're unique. So you cannot be measured and you cannot be replaced. We all express ourselves in different ways. We all think differently. And I could just keep listing the differences. We don't fit into these nicely little labeled compartments. Um, Nowadays everything needs to be labeled. If you feel like we need to label people, we are not our labels. Um, we are more than that. And so many times we're bad about putting labels on ourselves. Um, and sometimes it's not even just like labeling ourselves from what we do, but what we should be, what we should or shouldn't do. But knowing who you are is so important. because it allows us not to be defined by our labels. Um, and when you can start seeing your potential and stop limiting yourself and your potential from your circumstances, your current circumstances or things that happened to you in your past, it's a game changer. Um, and we limit ourselves in our business so many times by the mistakes that we made in the past or things that people tell us, the people we allow to speak into our life. Um, so many times there's people that are close to us in our life that will speak things into our life and into our businesses that are out of their own fears, and we can take those things and label ourselves and limit ourselves. Um, but when you know who you are, you realize that you don't have to fight for the place. You don't have to fight for your place because you already know where you belong. You already know that you already know that wherever you decide to pull up a chair, you belong there because you are who you say you are and who he says you are, and you belong wherever you want to be. And that is so, so important because when you can operate from that place, you are limitless. Um, when you can come from a place of knowing who you are, everything you do stems from that. And you're going to be so freed and you're going to be so content. And decisions that you need to make, they're going to be so much easier because you don't have that comparison. You don't have that measuring. You don't have that, you know, feeling like you're lacking and that you're falling short because now you know that you're not the same as somebody else and that you cannot be measured and you cannot be replaced. It's such an amazing feeling, y'all. And for the longest time, y'all, the reason why I'm talking about this today is because for the longest times, I let my circumstances and the things that I went through define who I am. And I have come to realize that those things were refining me, not defining me. And it's a huge difference. Um, the things that we go through, our circumstances, they refine us. But they don't get to define us. We get to choose. And this is the difference. Refine is to improve or perfect by pruning or polishing. Okay. Define is to determine or identify the essential qualities of. Okay. So who we are is not tied to what we do. And it is definitely not what is expected of us by society, or how we have been made to feel. That's not who we are. Um, I had to take a really good, hard look at my beliefs about myself. And I realized that I was basing who I thought I was off of my job performance, my circumstances, things that happened to me in the past, things that are out of your control. Um, but now that I look back with a different perspective, I realize that coming out the other side of those things, that it really just showed me who I am. Um, because when we're under pressure, it can really reveal so much of our character. And there was times that I was under pressure that some of those character traits that come out, I was like, "Oh, no, that's not true to who I am." But it was the fear. It was the fear that I had in those situations where the anger was coming from, where the impatience was coming from, where the self-doubt would rise up. And I realized that I'm glad I went through those things because it allowed me to see those things bubble up and realize that's not really who I am. That's the fear coming out. Um, And so now sometimes I look at those situations and I ask, like, what character traits do I want revealed when I'm under pressure? It's not always easy when you're in the moment. Sometimes we let the fear and the anger and all those things take over. But again, we let those situations refine us, not define us. Um, so when I finally started to learn to like push past those fears and dig deep for who I am and operate from that, that's when things started to change for me. Um, when we can focus on the facts and not the fears, it's a game changer. You get to start seeing your circumstances and seeing things through your potential and leaning into that and get you through the refining process. Through all of that, I realized that at my core that I'm brave, I have courage, I'm loyal, I'm compassionate, I'm kind, I'm creative, I'm fierce. And so much more. I'm loving, honest, and this is the thing. So many times I want to go back and clear something up real quick. So many times brave and courageous, they're used interchangeably, but there's a difference, okay? So when you're brave, you're bold without fear. That means usually that you're taking an action to do something without weighing the pros and cons first. You just kind of jump in and just do it and not really knowing what could go wrong or what could go right, okay? Um, but courage is taking action in spite of fear. So, with the fear being there, you probably know what the pros and cons are. You probably know that there's a possibility that this could happen. So, that's the difference between being brave and being courageous. And I truly believe we all have a little bit of both. We get to choose if we want to operate in those or not. So by learning who I am, I've learned that I get to choose that I want to act like that person, that I want to really be that person. I want to let others see that. And I stopped apologizing for being these things. That's huge. So many times, especially women, we play small. We dull our own shine. We hold ourselves back. We don't tap into our full potential for fear of intimidating somebody, for fear of what are people going to think, for fear of coming across wrong. Whatever the fear is, I have finally learned I'm not operating from fear anymore. And I'm not apologizing for being me. If you can't handle my honesty and you can't handle my directness, I'm sorry. I hate that. Um, I have also learned that with my honesty and with my directness, that I can dabble in some compassion and some love in there, and I can really come across differently. There's times that I can be very blunt and to the point, and I don't mean it harsh, and I don't mean it to hurt anybody's feelings. That's just how I am. I just call it like I see it. But now that I know who I am, I know that sometimes things that we don't want to hear may need to be sugarcoated a little bit. Sometimes they don't, and sometimes I don't have time to sugarcoat it because I want more for you. So, knowing who you are and no longer apologizing for that, no longer comparing yourself, trying to measure yourself against somebody else is so important. And so many times in our business, we don't realize that we're stuck because we're doing that. Um, so I'm curious today. What are you letting define you that should have just refined you? When I went back and looked at things and really started challenging my beliefs, because so many times we think we believe in ourselves, but our actions, our words, and our thoughts don't show that. So even if you're sitting here and you're thinking, "Well, I believe in myself." I wanna ask you something. Are there things that you know you need to be doing in your business, but you're not doing? So many times I have women come to me that say, "I know I need to post on social media more, but I just don't do it." And I don't know why. Sometimes that stems from a fear. Um, so so many times we do like I never would have been somebody that says, "Well, I don't believe in myself." I always thought I believed in myself. But my actions, my thoughts, and my words weren't always showing that I believed in myself. So when I started realizing who I am and no longer letting people's expectations, my expectations, the things that I went through box me in and label me and realize, and I stopped limiting myself, everything changed for me. And that is why I wanted to share this message with y'all today. So ask yourself, really think about it. Like, what are you letting define you? What are you measuring yourself up against? What are you comparing yourself to? And every single time you're gonna fall short because we can't compare ourselves to others. We are unique. So be uniquely you. Um, and start operating from who you are. It's gonna change your life. It's changed my life. I mean, it's changed my business. It's changed my marriage. Like there are no words. I'm out of words. So that's why I wanted to share this message with you today. And I would love it if you would let me know if this helped you in the comments. Because just to be completely honest, it may look easy for me to do this, but this is one of the hardest things that I do in my business is going live and sharing these messages with y'all. Um, so let me know. And if you have a friend that has a business or that has talked about been see, words are hard. Or a friend that has talked about wanting to start a business and you feel like she needs to hear this today, share this with your friends, tag your friend. Because sometimes we just need to know that others see our potential too and that they believe in us. Because every time somebody shows us that they believe in us, it helps us believe in ourselves a little bit more. So I hope that this helps you. I hope that this encourages you and inspires you. And you have a wonderful day. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye for now.